So, if you're WWE, you find yourself in a very rare situation right now when it comes to basically booking for WrestleMania and mostly your headline main event that's going to close out the two nights, that being Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns. And the reason you find yourself in this rare situation, if you will, is because you don't know whether or not you want to go with option A, which is stay the course and go through with your plan of potentially putting the belt on Cody, as a lot of people perceive and see that you're going to do, or go the direction that's option B, and that option being basically keeping the belt on Roman and letting him go for 1,000 days. And those are options right now that when you really think about it, are very difficult choices to make, very difficult directions to take either way. And why, you may ask? Well, when you think about it, you want to keep your promise that you made to Cody. You want to keep your promise that you made to Cody. You want to keep the belt. You want to keep that promise by making him champion, doing what AEW would not allow him to do, or basically forced him into basically agreeing into doing stipulation-wise, when he lost to Chris Jericho. So you're basically correcting that mistake that was made. The other option, though, is wanting to make history. But since WWE has always been known for making history, you want to make history by basically, I guess to coin a phrase, basically putting, Roman Reigns in a very rare stratosphere. And that rare stratosphere is with the likes of a Hulk Hogan and a Bruno Sammartino. And by putting him in that stratosphere with, the likes of Hogan and Sammartino, you're also putting him as part of a lineage that is very rare to achieve. And that's being champion for 1,000 days plus. And by doing so, you cement the fact that he is everything you've always said he is. That he is one of the all-time greats. That he was the right choice to make champion-wise and all, champion-wise and face-wise of the company and all that. And that he is one of the all-time greats of the modern era. You have an opportunity to do all of that. You have an opportunity to do all of that if you go with option B. So right now, if you're WWE and you're Triple H and his team, you find yourself in a situation that's not very favorable. Because, again, you want to try to stay that course because you made a promise to Cody, hey, you come back, we'll make you champion, we'll do what AEW wouldn't. But then on the other hand, you have that option. Like I said, you have that option, like I said, of making history. You have that option of making history by keeping the belt on Roman and putting him in that very rare stratosphere of champions. That's what you got the option of, the other option of, I should say. But then, on top of that, you also have the wild card equation when it comes to both. And that wild card equation is Sami Zayn. See, a lot of fans still believe that Sami is the right choice to go with. That he is the choice WWE should have gone with at Elimination Chamber. Give him his moment, even for, a couple of days or a week. Let him have that moment. And everything. Let him have it, let him have his moment. But, that didn't happen. That didn't happen, to coin a phrase. So instead, basically what happened. Now they're setting course for Sami and KO to face the Usos, which isn't a bad alternative when you get down to it. It's not a bad alternative. But it's one of those situations to where it's like, you know, it's one of those situations to where, like, yeah, you're going to get a good matchup, a good storyline, continuation of what's going on now. But then, where do you go from there besides putting the tag belts on Owens and, Zayn? What does that do for the tag division? How does that elevate that and stuff? And you got all these questions people, are going to ask and wonder about and want answers to, because you didn't choose to go in the direction that, they felt was probably the best direction to go in. And that's, basically Sami Zayn beating Roman, even if for a couple of days or a week before dropping it back to him. It's one of those rare situations. One of those rare situations and all that, to where basically you put Sami now in a situation where he's the wild card factor. He's the wild card option, because fans are going to want to see him achieve that goal. They're going to want him to get ultimate payback on not just the Usos, and not just Solo, but mainly Roman. They're going to want him to see him do that. And what better way in their minds than to let Roman beat Cody at WrestleMania and let Roman get to 1,000 days, and he loses it to Sami. That's how they, that's what they're looking at right now, as one of those options of, why didn't you just go in this direction? Why didn't you, run it this way and everything and all that, in Montreal? Like, why don't you give, Sami his moment? Now fans are going to want it more than ever, because they're going to want Roman to beat Cody and have Roman get to 1,000 days, so that Sami's the one that beats him. And he is that wild card factor. He could also be that wild card factor that plays, a factor in the main event between Cody and Roman, and either helps Cody beat Roman and end his reign short of 1,000 days, or he accidentally costs Cody the match and Roman retains, and then you could get maybe a justified triple threat out of it at the next event, which could be Money in the Bank or whatever. Or basically you could have fans, not be upset about it and say, hey, yeah, Sami accidentally cost Cody the match, but you know what? Now it opens the door for him to do what he should have done in Montreal. But it's one of those rare situations to where basically, it's one of those rare situations to where, basically WWE now, is in a situation that's very, very rare for them to be in, but it's also a very unfavorable rare thing to be in for them, because they don't know what to do. Even though a lot of fans, they might be okay either way, it's just one of those situations to where, if you stay the course, option A, you stay the course, with WWE, and Rhodes and Reigns and Rhodes winning, then okay, fine, fans are cool with that. Rhodes becomes champ, he's the new face of the company, he's going to be, the face for the future, you got a fresh new slew of opponents he could defend against and all that, fine, not a problem. But then on the other hand, and you have WWE being known to want to make history, no matter whose regime they're falling under, creatively or whatever. WWE has that other option of keeping the belt on Roman, getting him to 1,000 days plus, putting him in that rare lineage, in the stratosphere of greatest champions of all time, with the likes of Hogan and San Martino. So you have that option, and on top of that, like I said, you have that wild card equation. If you will, of Sami Zayn, who, if you go with option B, like I said, fans would want to see him be the one to end Roman's reign after 1,000 days. Or you have the option of him playing a role with option A, where he would cost Roman, or even help Roman accidentally retain. So you have that wild card factor with Sammy to where, like no matter what direction they go in, no matter, what they run with, it's going to be hard for them to make a final decision. It's going to be hard for them to be like, yeah, we made a promise to go with Cody, and do what AEW wouldn't, but will they? That is the question. Will they go that route? We honestly don't know. We honestly don't know because, they could go, like I said, with option B, which again, people are wondering if, that would probably be the better option since, Rhodes hasn't had that much build-up, considering since, he was out with an injury. And yes, there's no doubt they're doing their best to try to, basically put him into a situation where he's got plenty of build-up, don't get me wrong. But people are wondering if maybe they should wait, hold off on it, maybe till Money in the Bank or something, and go with that, and go from there, I should say. We don't know. We don't know. Again, it's a situation to where even I, just talking about it and sounding like I'm rambling off and everything here, while I'm also killing time before I clock into work at 1 o'clock. It's one of those situations to where you're like, how do you conceive, how do you choose what is the best option, in the long run? It's like, what do you conceive as being like the best option in the long run? When it's all said and done, it's like, what is the best direction, to go in, is the question. And to me, like I said, I do not envy, Triple H or his crew. I don't. Because, yeah, they want to stay the course and everything as originally intended. But now they have to think to themselves, do we stay that course? Or do we give, Roman another few months as champion to get to 1,000 days and then give it to either Cody or even Sammy? We don't know. We don't know. But like I said, I don't envy Triple H and his crew. And I know anybody watching this doesn't envy them right now from a booking and creative standpoint. But all I could say, honestly, is, I wish the best of luck to Hunter, Paul Levesque, and his creative crew. Because these next couple of weeks, creatively, they're going to have a lot of work to do. They're either going to have to do the damnedest, which I do have confidence they will do, because I've talked about it before. I do have confidence that they're going to do their damnedest to get that same reaction, that same heat, that Sammy had in his feud with Roman going into Elimination Chamber. I know they're going to do their damnedest to get that transfer over to Cody and get that a very similar, same reaction, if you will. They're going to do whatever they can to make that happen. So I have confidence they're going to do that. But also, again, I don't envy them with the fact that they look at the reaction fans are still giving Sammy, and also looking at that option of, man, we're this close to 1,000 days with Roman as champion. Do we really want to end it before it hits that? They're in this, it's that kind of a situation. It's like, do we want to do that? Do we want to end it before it hits 1,000? And and allow Cody to be the face afterwards, or do we keep it on Roman and let him hit 1,000, and then we give it to Cody later on, or even Sammy? See, they're in that situation right now to where, again, I like I said, I have confidence they're going to do their damnedest to build up the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns match and get people invested, get people to transfer that same reaction and support that they had for Sammy over to Cody. I have no doubt about that. But booking wise, they're in a situation right now to where it's like, yeah, they could go with Cody and everything, or do they go with the historical run of 1,000 days for Roman and just unfortunately, because of the reason, make Cody just another victim? Make Cody someone that, yeah, we brought him in, he was undefeated since he came back, He still has a lot of AEW on him. Do you basically, do, as much as I hate to say this, do you do what Triple H did to Sting at WrestleMania, to Cody? Do you make Triple H, a WWE guy, beat Sting, a WCW guy, at WrestleMania? Do you make that happen with Roman? Do you make Roman, a WWE guy, beat Cody, who people still kind of perceive as an AEW guy, even though he was part of WWE originally? Do you have Roman do the same thing? Do you have him beat Cody to send a message directly to AEW and Tony Khan that, see, it don't matter who you let come over here, we're always going to be dominant. We're always going to be the top people. Do you do that and continue, and then by default continue the reign of Roman Reigns up to 1,000 days, and then cut it right then and there at the hands of Rhodes or Zayn? You see, again, it's one of those situations to where, again, I do not envy, Triple H and his crew right now. I do not envy the situation they are in. And I don't think anybody does. But again, I still have confidence, as I've said before, that I know they're going to do their damnedest to get a similar, if not same kind of support Sammy had transfer over to Cody for his match against Roman at Mania. I know they're going to do their damnedest to do that. But again, the question is, do they stay the course? Do they stay the course, go with option A, put the belt on Rhodes, as everybody's thinking they're going to do and believing they're going to do at WrestleMania? Or do they wait? Do they hold off, let Reigns retain, let him make history, get him into that stratosphere of 1,000+ days, along where he's, in a lineage, in basically a very rare lineage and roster of all-time great champions like San Martino and Hogan? Do you hold off to get him to that point, and thus, by doing so, christen him as the greatest champion of the modern era, period? Or do you cut it short of that? You see, they got a situation here to where it's like a no-win situation, basically. Because again, if you go with option B, then the question is, do you fulfill the promise to Cody later on, maybe at Money in the Bank in the UK, or do you basically go with what fans really want outside of Cody, and that's Sammy? What do you do? And again, it's like, with the tag titles, Sammy and KO being champions, that's great and everything, but what's the story going to be? Is it going to be reluctant tag team champs that, don't know if they can trust each other or not? Or is it going to be a storyline of, hey, a friendship has been repaired and everything, and now the champions, as they've always wanted to be in WWE, just like they were in other places? You see, that's the big question right there. That is the big question right there, of what do you do? What direction do you go in? Because you put the tag titles on KO and SZ, KO and SZ, then what? Do you continue feuding them with the Usos? Or do you line up some fresh new tag matches for them to be involved in? What do you do? You see, that's the big question right there. How do you move on from there? What do you do? So again, it's a rare situation to where, yes, this is Triple H's first WrestleMania under his creative watch. And honestly, for a first WrestleMania, it is a WrestleMania that I guarantee he didn't expect he was going to have a hard time having to book for, outcome-wise when it comes to matches, especially when it comes to the main event of WrestleMania, the one that closes out. But what do you guys think? Do you think they stay the course? Do you think they stay the course and do their damnedest to get the same support and reaction that Sammy got transferred over to Cody for his match against Roman? And by doing so, allow Cody to do what no other man has done, and that's beat Roman and cut his reign short of 1,000 days? Or do you think they go with option B? They keep the belt on Roman, let him get into that rare stratosphere of all-time great champions, especially for the modern era. Have him get to 1,000 days, be in the same lineage as Hogan and San Martino. Do you let that happen, and then have him drop the belt to either Cody or Sammy? That's a question right there. That's a big question right there. Do you do that? And, speaking of Sammy, do you have him play a factor in the outcome of Mania? Do you have him cost Roman the match or accidentally cost Cody the match? To where if he helps Cody win, yeah, it's not a total clean victory, but it's payback on the bloodline long overdue. Or do you have him accidentally cost Cody the match, knowing that Roman couldn't again beat someone on his own, and Cody just becomes another victim, and thus you have a reason to go into 1,000 days with Reigns as champion? What would you do? What would your decision be? How would you go with this? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, and until next time, guys, you will get an audio podcast of this too at BW Rhodes Discussions. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. How would you book this? And until next time, I am out.